Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Lorraine County High School Blitz. I'm Matt Douglas alongside Marissa McNees. We're here to recap week number 7 of the high school football season and get you ready for week number 8. Marissa, an outstanding week number 7 throughout Lorraine County. Teams went 9-5 and a couple of big upsets this week.
We got to lead off right away with Midview pulling off a huge upset against Olmsted Falls this week. What a game for the Middies.
Yeah, I don't think many people saw that coming. A tremendous job by the Midview Middies as they grabbed the win in that one. Another upset in the Lorraine County League is the Columbia Raiders knocked off the Wellington Dukes. Dukes have been playing some solid football. Columbia was coming off their first win against Oberlin the week before, and boy, they just ran the ball. Joe Governale going for 288 yards on 44 carries. Marissa, pardon me, I was tired just reading that story. My bad. I was tired just reading about that story. I mean, that's crazy how many carries he got. Just a great week number 7 as well, as we mentioned the upsets we had in the area. Some other strong wins out there. Elyria Catholic Panthers went through some tough times. They had 3 consecutive losses. They've bounced back recently. Last week, a victory on homecoming against Valley Forge. And then in week number 7, the last week, Fairview, they knock off the Warriors 53-34.
Yeah, they seem to really be hitting their stride late in the season and really, especially on offense, really putting together some big plays. That's a team that really likes to put together those big plays, and it's obviously working out well for them.
Yeah, strong quarterback as well. I think he goes a little under the radar. Steven Navalinsky, he's throwing for some big yards this year, and some young guys too. Levi Ellis, an outstanding game as he rushed for 127 yards in the victory, 3 touchdowns. Just a freshman, I think, making that all the more impressive.
Absolutely.
And the fact he plays both sides of the ball as well. He's a starting linebacker. Keystone Wildcats continue to do what they do. Just one loss on the season. That was all the way back in week number 1 to Bay. They pick up another victory in dominating fashion, 41-0 over Brookside. How about the Avon Eagles? They remain undefeated, but they face some big injuries.
Yeah, the big news this week, Nick Perusic going down with a knee injury. That's going to hurt Avon. They're undefeated still, and they always have next man up, and I'm sure they'll find ways to fill his spot, but boy, that's a guy you really hate to lose.
Oh, without a doubt. But they've got a number of guys who've been stepping up all season long, and they faced a lot of injuries, unfortunately, this season. But again, I mean, it goes to show just how deep they are with those youngsters coming up, filling those positions and continuing to get the victories. It was a close one they had against North Olmsted here in week number 7, but Avon was able to pull out the victory, scoring 21 points in the third for the 38-7 final. I've got to say, I'm impressed with the Amherst Comets and their defense. One of the tops in Lorraine County, and what they did to Berea Mid-Park proves it.
Yeah, shutting out Berea Mid-Park, a team that the week before scores, 40-plus points against North Ridgeville. So really, another big defensive showing for the Comets.
Without a doubt. Their offense playing very well is behind their quarterback, Tyler Bresna. He had a couple of touchdown passes in the game, and not often you talk about a Coach Passarello team that throws the ball, but he's utilizing what he's got. His Coach Pass in the past has been a very heavy running coach by far. And then Elyria, an unfortunate loss for Elyria to Shaker Heights over the weekend, but they put up 50 points. I mean, it's not often you see a score 70-50.
I thought, I had them this week. I thought it was a game the Pioneers really, they could pull out, and to score 50 points and lose, it's a heartbreaker, but it shows, they have the pieces and the ability to make plays and find a way to win, and it's just, still been a struggle for them this season.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, in that GCC conference, every team they play is extremely good. Absolutely. Shaker Heights, no different. Again, Dalen Charlo, I think, threw for 340 yards, 6 touchdown passes in the game. What an outstanding performance by that young man. Well, following right along suit, time to name our first Federal Savings Team of the Week. We do this on a weekly basis. Marissa and I take a look at some of the teams, what they've accomplished in the previous week, and we go ahead and name our Team of the Week, the team we think was most outstanding or maybe had one of the cooler stories of the week. And certainly the Midview Middies fall under that category for our first Federal Savings Team of the Week this week, Marissa.
It has to go to the Middies. I know I certainly didn't see them picking up that win. I know on the picket line, I think everybody had Olmsted Falls, and a lot of people overlooked Midview this week. But boy, they proved, they've got a good team. They're here to make some noise. For sure,
and that's a team that Midview has run into a lot. I think over the last 3 or 4 years, they always seem to get that regular season draw in the SWC, obviously, and then they'd end up playing them the postseason as well. And certainly you got that feeling. DJ Shaw was a little tired of seeing the Bulldogs and exacted a little bit of revenge against Olmsted Falls this week. And we mentioned Ethan Surdock. just a sophomore. 3 rushing touchdowns in the game. He threw for 114 yards, ran for 184. In fact, he scored the last touchdown in the final 28 seconds. They trailed in the game by 15 with about 14 minutes remaining. So looking around, there were some other options out there. Columbia is certainly viable for the team of the week, but
no doubt.
I think without a doubt, you got to give it to the Midview Middies this week.
You have to. Just a huge statement win for the Middies that a lot of people didn't see coming. So
for sure, they've had some struggles this year. Good to see them back in the win column, and for beating an unbeaten team as well, we've given them our first Federal Savings Team of the Week honor. One of my favorite segments of the show now, we get to talk about some of the kids out there who had spectacular week. We call it the top 2 from these 2. Me and Marissa pick out a couple of players we thought had outstanding performances in week number 7. And I'll start with one of the young guys. I mentioned him already for Elyria Catholic in their victory over Fairview. Levi Ellis, 127 yards on the ground. He had 3 touchdowns in that contest. A freshman being asked to carry the ball. Not only that, he plays linebacker for the team. Just an outstanding performance by him. So he's one of my top 2. And then I went over to Avon. You had mentioned it. Nick Perusic out with an injury, ACL tear. He's going to be done for the season. Avon's looking for that next man up thing. And Danny Zay, their quarterback, he didn't start much last year. He was behind Ryan Malloy. He gets that opportunity this year, and he proves it again. 276 passing yards in their victory over North Olmsted, has a touchdown to go along with it. So I went with Danny Zay, the senior quarterback for the Avon Eagles, and Levi Ellis, the freshman running back / linebacker for the Elyria Catholic Panthers. Marissa, who'd you have?
Well, we talked about Ethan Surdock. I want to just mention him again with that great line he had this week. But I wanted to shout out Tyler Richmond of North Ridgeville, 5 touchdowns for the Rangers, 3 rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown. He took a 36-yard pick 6. I mean, really had a big game for the Rangers this week. And then I think we can talk about Jacob Shackelford every week, but I got to give it up to him again. 4 touchdowns, 322 yards. I mean, he seems unstoppable at this point.
Yeah, I can't argue with either 2 of those picks. I think absolutely fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a look forward now at Week 8. We've already taken a look at what happened in week number 7 there and handed out the hardware. Some big games coming up this week, some exciting ones, I think, too. And one of them, I know looking at the schedule, some folks may look at it and think, well, North Ridgeville's 2-5, Avon 7-0 coming into this week. But for whatever reason, the North Ridgeville Rangers love playing against the Avon Eagles. I think it was a couple of years ago. Very similar records. Avon took on North Ridgeville. North Ridgeville played them to within 2 or 3 points. So I think keep an eye for that one this week.
And I know Coach Durbin, he always has something in his back pocket. He likes to try some big plays and really go for it. So it'll be an interesting matchup for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how that one turns out. And again, with Avon, they've got a couple of big games coming up here down the next couple of weeks. They've got the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs, I think in week number 9 that is, or week number 10. But you can bet the Bulldogs are going to be angry after that loss to Midview. Another one to keep an eye on, I had the opportunity to call Holy Name against Buckeye on Saturday for our Tri-C-Medina County matchup. And I think watch this one. Elyria Catholic gets to host the Holy Name Green Wave. These are 2 teams that coming into the season, people are always talking about it. They could win that Great Lakes Conference. EC's on the outside looking in right now with their 2 losses to Bay and to Buckeye. But if they could get a win here against Holy Name, hand the Green Wave their first loss, EC could possibly jump back into the conversation for the league title there in the Great Lakes.
A lot of times, too, with EC, we've seen this season, it comes down to 1 or 2 big plays, positive or negative. So it's really going to be about limiting those mistakes, being on the positive end of those big plays and putting some together against a great Holy Name team.
Yeah, I think one thing you got to look at with EC is they haven't been blowing out in any of their losses either. They're all very close games. They can hang with Holy Name. You never know what can happen. Another game to keep an eye on, we just mentioned it. They were our first Federal Savings of Lorraine Team of the Week, the Midview Middies. I'm keeping an eye on them right now. After that victory over Olmsted Falls, they could be the giant killers in the SWC with Avon Lake this week.
I overlooked them against Olmsted Falls. I don't see myself making that same mistake again. That's a team you got to watch out for.
Should be a lot of fun. Great rivalry between those two teams in Midview and Avon Lake as well. Of course, Avon Lake goes into that game 6-1. Their only loss of the season back in week number 1 to the Avon Eagles. So just a few of the games out there. Of course, you can always tune in to AM 930, 100.3 FM, WEOL, for your opportunity to listen to 3 great games we've got going on as well. And I think certainly keep an eye on our radio game this week as we'll kick off on the Center for Orthopedics Gridiron Clash at 6:30. The Clearview Clippers making their way to Columbia. The Raiders, we mentioned the big victory over Wellington. They've won 2 in a row now.
Another game, I think a lot of people thought Wellington's playing great football right now, and it might be an easier win for the Dukes. It was at home, but Columbia, they just got that 1 win under their belt, and that seems like all they needed to really step up their game so far.
Yeah, well, when you're going to beat a team that's got Ben Higgins and Mason McClellan, the only way to stop them is to, frankly, not let them get the ball.
Right.
And that's exactly what Columbia did. Big drives in that game. Coach Howells, I think, even said that in the Chronicle Telegram in your guys' story. So good stuff there. And then our Center for Orthopedics Stream 2 game, another team getting back in the win column after a tough start to the season. And they probably had one of the tougher schedules you're going to see. The Lorraine Titans, they've got Maple Heights coming up this week. Should be a pretty good game as they come off a victory over Warrensville Heights.
I know. I got to cover that game last year, and I know that's one that's not sat well with Lorraine coming into this season. It's a game they felt like they should have won, and frankly, a win that kept them out of the playoffs last year. And whether or not the playoffs are in the picture for them this season, they're playing for pride at this point, especially in this game.
Well, that Lake Erie League is always so tough, and you're 100% right. I mean, you come out, you never know what could happen. If Cleveland Heights gets a loss, Lorraine could very well be vying for a share of that Lake Erie League title. And then our Tri-C Medina County matchup this week features the Highland Hornets hosting the Aurora Greenmen. Could be an interesting game. Like the Columbia Raiders, Highland has won their last 2 games. They played a couple of close contests, had to come from behind last week to beat Canfield. This week they get the Greenmen, who come in undefeated after beating Barberton last week. So you can tune into that one, our Tri-C Medina County matchup on WEOL.com, stream number 2. Well, Marissa, I know you do a great job covering these games, and folks can follow you on Twitter. If they want to see a little bit more about some of the high school sports going on in Lorain County, let the folks know where they can read up on you.
Well, you can find me at Marissa NM on Twitter. I'm all over there every week. Find football tweets,
there you go,
bachelor tweets, whatever you want. We got it for you.
I like it. Usually I take care of the AM 930 WEOL Twitter handle. You can find some of my tweets on there, although I've got a team that helps me out with those as well. Well, Marissa, it was fun working with you here again.
Yeah, it's been great.
We got 2 more weeks left in the season. Next week we'll come back and see what happens in week number 8.
Already recapping week 8. Can't believe it.
Hard to believe we've only got a couple weeks left. All right, that does it for this edition of the Lorain County Blitz. For Marissa McNees, I'm Matt Douglas. Bruce Bishop over there behind the camera. Everyone here at WEOL and the Chronicle Telegram. We'll see you next week on the Blitz.